It was many and many a year ago, in a kingdom by the sea, that a maiden there lived whom you may know by the name of Annabel Lee. And this maiden she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me. I was a child and she was a child in a kingdom by the sea, but we loved with a love that was more than love, I and my Annabel Lee, with a love that the winged seraphs in heaven coveted her and me. And that was the reason that long ago, in a kingdom by the sea, a wind blew out of a cloud, chilling my beautiful Annabel Lee, so that her high-born kinsman came and bore her away from me to shut her up in a sepulchre in the kingdom by the sea. The angels, not half so happy in heaven, went envying her and me. And that was the reason, as all men know in a kingdom by the sea, that a wind blew out of a cloud by night, chilling and killing my Annabel Lee. But our love, it was stronger by far than the love of those who are older than we, of many far wiser than we. And neither the angels in heaven above nor the demons down under the sea can ever dissever my soul from the soul of the beautiful Annabel Lee. For the stars never rise, but I see the bright eyes of the beautiful Annabel Lee. And the moon never beams without bringing me dreams of the beautiful Annabel Lee. And so all the night tide I lie down by the side of my darling, my life, and my bride, in her sepulchre there by the sea, in her tomb by the sounding sea.
Hello and happy Halloween from Creative Writing Corner. I'm your host, the restless ghost of Luke J. Morris. That was a bit of classic Edgar Allan Poe to whet your appetite. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks so much to those of you who have already subscribed. It really means the world to me, and I will continue to do my damnedest to bring you entertaining and practical content to sharpen your chops as a storyteller. I'm recording and releasing this on Halloween, so things are a wee bit hectic. Editing's probably not going to be that great, not that it ever is, but you know. I figured I'd say a word or two about mood. Seems appropriate for October 31st. Mood is the feeling that the reader or audience gets from a story. More than that, it is the feeling that the author intends to evoke in her readers, the overall emotional weight of a given scene. So, how do you make a mood? Mood arises from setting and atmosphere. In film, this is accomplished using primarily visuals, such as set, lighting, camera angles, along with musical score and sound effects. On the printed page, though, we don't have all of that to work with. All we have are words. So how can you create a creepy vibe with words alone? You do the same thing we talked about in the last video, the video on how to write horror. You give your readers a rough image and let their minds fill in the blanks for themselves. For the same reason that you don't want to over-describe your monster or your monster's depraved acts, especially too early in the story, you also don't want to over-describe your setting or the atmosphere that surrounds your characters. It's obviously not enough to just say that the room is dark, but you also don't want to spout out a dozen synonyms for darkness while describing every single sound, smell, taste, and touch the character encounters in the room, along with a complete visual picture of all of the room's contents were they to be seen in the light. It's just too much. You need to find that middle ground. You want to find that sweet spot where you give them just enough information for them to fill in the rest of the picture themselves. You give them the line drawings, they color it in. Your readers, that is, color it in. And that is where the real terror comes from, where that eeriness builds up. Here's an example from a writer who is a master of this, if I do say so myself, but then it's not me. So, anyway. West of Arkham, the hills rise wild, and there are valleys with the deep woods that no axe has ever cut. There are dark, narrow glens where the trees slope fantastically, and where thin brooklets trickle without ever having caught the glint of sunlight. On the gentler slopes there are farms, ancient and rocky, with squat, moss-coated cottages brooding eternally over old New England secrets in the lee of great ledges. But these are all vacant now, the wide chimneys crumbling and the shingled sides bulging perilously beneath low gambrel roofs. That's from H.P. Lovecraft's The Color Out of Space. Note what he puts in the description and what he leaves out. You want to know how to craft a creepy mood, read Lovecraft. Add in a bit of Poe, Dunsany, and M.R. James, and you have some of the scariest authors of the past 2 centuries whose scenes and descriptions make most modern horror films look weak and toothless by comparison. Hint. Those of you who want to make modern horror films. If you have to rely on jump scares and torture porn, your story's not that scary. Go back to the drawing board, recognizing where the root of fear comes from. Give your readers the right words to feel the vibe and let them paint the horrible picture for themselves. That's your assignment tonight. When you're home from trick-or-treating, describe a room, a street, a park, the woods, or any other place, adding in just enough details to make it dark and eerie, but keeping enough out to allow for suspense as the reader builds that dark and eerie image in her own mind. I will now close with my favorite quote from Poe, which may be my favorite quote ever. This is from The Telltale Heart. If you still think me mad, you will think so no longer when I describe the wise precautions I took for the concealment of the body. Amen, my friend. Now go scare someone. This has been Creative Writing Corner. I've been Luke J. Morris, and until next time, beware. Hey there, fellow writer. Thanks for tuning in to Creative Writing Corner. I hope you got something valuable or at least ridiculous out of this episode. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel for more great writing tips and tricks, and if you have any writing questions, suggestions, or topics you'd like me to discuss, leave them in the comments below. Thanks again, my friend. Until next time, keep the words flowing.